As I'm sure you know, it is now debate season here in the United States. We've already had 2 Republican debates and, of course, 1 Democrat debate. Now, whether you love them or you hate them, what I would love to do now is just take a look at some moments from both of those debates to try to figure out ways that we, as business people trying to continually improve the way we present, the way we can actually learn something from what we see on those big, brightly lit stages. So, I've gathered together some clips. Let's have a look through some of them and I'll tell you what I think. All right, here we go.
I have a range of views, but they are rooted in my values and my experience.
Okay, so there's Hillary. Look at those hand movements. I've got a range of views. That expresses range, but they're rooted. This is actually quite good. Now, she's been rehearsed, she has been coached. And of course, what you do when you show how a word would look with your hands is you add a tiny bit of animation to what's going on. Now, the problem is, and you'll notice this later on when we look at some of the Republican debate footage, she's got a big podium kind of in front of her. So half of her is hidden anyway. So all she's left with is what she can do with her hands. And there's some activity there. And actually, it's not bad. It's a bit constrained because I like to see more. So let's press on.
One of the things that was not reported during that heartbreaking night of unrest in Baltimore was that arrests had actually fallen to a 38-year low.
Now there you see Martin O'Malley, very stick straight, very monotone, almost making zero impact at all. Yes, he was speaking about something quite serious, but there's no animation, there's no emotion in his voice, and there's no passion. Now when we present to any type of audience, and it really doesn't matter if it's just a few people or it's 1,000 people, you've got to show how interested you are, how passionate you are. Because if people don't see it in you, then they're not going to buy into your ideas. That didn't look too good. All right, let's move on. Who's next?
Anderson, you're looking at a block of granite when it comes to the issues.
Lincoln Chaffee there made a classic mistake. He's trying to describe himself as being someone who's truly fixed in his ideas. He won't flip or flop. But instead, he said, and this is his quote, "You're looking at a block of granite." Now, the headlines write themselves. He also isn't a very animated speaker, and you've got to avoid giving ammunition to those who might criticize you. If you call yourself something, people will also call you the same thing. So there was the headline for him. He sees himself as a block of granite. Visually, and I say this with absolute respect, he appears also to be somewhat like a block of granite.
I would say this. I've been waiting for 10 minutes. I will say this.
You're over your time, though.
Well, you've let a lot of people go over their time.
Now, fair enough, he wasn't given enough time, but oh my goodness, never point at your moderator, at someone asking you questions, or your audience. Senator Jim Webb is obviously frustrated. He's a little bit angry, but you know what the pointing is? The pointing is him putting people in their place, telling them, hey, you're wrong, you listen to me right now. It's aggressive.
I am not a pacifist. Yes, I happen to believe from the bottom of my heart that war should be the last resort.
I quite like the way Bernie Sanders speaks, although I've got to be honest, he shouts a lot. He gets so passionate, he almost sounds a little bit too angry, and the shouting goes up and up in level. You've got to watch your voice levels. But what I like is the hands. I'm talking like this. This is big. This is something for us all to consider. That's actually pretty good. So don't be afraid to use your hands, especially when you're getting to a point that you really feel passionate about and that you want to engage people about. Use those hands to demonstrate how interested you are, and others will follow suit.
I want to tell you why people are supporting outsiders. It's because you know what happens if someone's been in a system their whole life. They don't know how broken the system is. A fish swims in water, it doesn't know it's water. It's not that politicians are bad people. It's that they've been in that system forever.
Carly Fiorina, that's an analogy. I love it when people use analogies. What did she do there? She compared politicians to fish. Fish are in water, they don't know they're in water. Politicians are in politics, they don't even realize they're in politics anymore. It's just their world, they're so immersed in it. It was an analogy. When you add an analogy into your descriptions, into your conversations, into your stories, What you do is you add colour. You give people something different to think about, and it's a great way of getting a point across. So where possible, drop in an analogy. Now, Carly was doing very well there until this happened.
The truth is 75% of the American people think the government is corrupt. 82% of the American people think these problems that have festered for 50 years in some cases, 25 years, and in other cases, the border's been insecure for 25 years. 307,000 veterans have died waiting for health care.
Too many numbers. Too many numbers. People don't remember numbers, they remember stories. They remember very nice images, but nobody can remember stats, nobody can remember numbers, and that was just a stream of numbers, and you lost me.
People that I deal with, that I talk to, they say this is what's happening because our leaders are stupid, our politicians are stupid, and the Mexican government is much smarter, much sharper, much more cunning, and they send the bad ones over because they don't want to pay for them, they don't want to take care of them. Why should they when the stupid leaders of the United States will do it for them?
Donald Trump there, again, very passionate, very engaged, lots of good hand movement. And here's something interesting. Yes, he's showing his passion, almost his anger, but he's changed the language, the actual language he uses. He doesn't speak like a politician, he speaks like a regular guy, a regular billionaire. But the words he uses, they're stupid. Why shouldn't they? And the hand-chopping gesture, it's like you're speaking to someone at a bar. You've gone out for dinner, they're very animated. That's his secret. Because what he's done is he's taken the jargon out of the conversation and he's made it more approachable. And so your regular everyday voter sees someone in him that's a bit similar to themselves. And don't forget, people by people, and people by people who are just like them, even if they're very, very rich. So there you go, a quick trip through some of the political debate moments so far. I'm going to try to do more of these as we get closer and closer to the 2016 election. But you can see very quickly that when you watch how others choose to share their messages, there's always a moment where you can learn something new and add it to your repertoire.